Great. Let's go. Right. Okay, great. Onegaishimasu. Okay, perfect. Great. We're just going to go straight in, just a little bit of ski work. So just finding the kamai. Do about 8 or 10 one side. Just get into the swing of it here. That's it, perfect. Nice, very nice, good. Great. Okay, good. All right, great. So in terms of the ski works, there's obviously quite a contained movement, quite a condensed movement, but it still has this quality of opening and closing. So if you think of the bokken work really clear, super clear, especially the first suburi, in the sense of opening the body, closing the body down this way. So what I want you to think about as you do the ski is how that same kind of organization is happening. You've got an opening of the body here, and then a closing of the body this way. So as you finish the ski, the body's coming into a closed position here. The big thing that you've got to think about with this, with opening and closing, again, I'd show with the bokken because it's a bit clearer with the suburi movement. What I don't want to do is just open the body and then close the front of the body, right? So I don't want to open everything and close everything at the same time. This is going to really crunch the body out. So when you open, there's always a little bit of closing. And when you close, there's always a little bit of opening. Now, in the case, again, of the bokken work, what's opening and closing? The front of the body here is open, but the back's closing. So the back of my body is closing here. And now as you close the front of the body, the back's opening wide. So what I don't want to do again is I'm going to close, the back's closed as well, or the back's really nothing in it. So you want to think about here as you close the body, close the front of the body, the back's widening into it. So again, it's allowing the movement to breathe. So just play first with this movement, with the first suburi. Get this kind of idea close. So you're closing the back, opening the front of the body. And now when you close the front, you're opening, spreading the back of the body. The same thing again, if you can integrate the breath work into this kind of idea. But just think now about kind of really, really, really clear. This is a classic example, open and close. Right. Great, we'll go back into the ski work. So again, that Shomanuchi work, really clear example of this. So play with it in the ski. You've got a shorter opening movement now. So this is the kind of opening of the body, and then you've got the close of the body here. The close is kind of dominating the movement. So think about, again, you don't want to close the front and lose the back of the body, or also try and kind of close the back. So think in this case, as you close the movement in the front, find the thrust, think about the back opening out. So this is really important later. What we're going to look at is a sense of kokyu. So it's the same idea. I don't want to close the front of the body and have the back, nothing in it. So you think about closing the front, opening the back. So the back starts to fill out as you close. So you can think of opening, closing, you can talk about filling, emptying, whatever kind of helps, whatever kind of language helps it. You can just think also about the breath as well, but anything that you can do to get the body working in this state of balance. Look for the dominant pattern. So there's the opening here, closing the back, and then closing the front, opening the back. Right. So, especially in this position, that position at the end, that sense of width through the back. This is a really good training for kind of kokyu, that shape in the body. Nice. That's perfect. Very good. Great, so we're going to take this into the 6 count and then into the 13. We're going to start with the 6, but just the first 3 moves. So this is again a really clear example. You've got this closing pattern. Now you've got a really clear example here, opening the whole body up. And then from here, closing in the body as you find this strike. Just find this pattern and it's nice and clear. Also the breath's working the same way. Open into the top as you breathe in. Close into the front with a set, breathing out as you do it. So just allow this movement to kind of breathe. Give yourself a lot of space in the movement. And just really about aligning the whole body behind the movement itself. So, there we go. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Great. Okay, so sometimes this analogy is used. It's one of those. I was talking to Petrus the other day about it. It's one of those analogies which is kind of useful, maybe not, but we'll try it in this way because it puts you in a nice kind of position for it. Imagine when you go to the second position here, it's like you're hanging off the jaw. So if you imagine like a chin-up bar, I've got one over here, like you're hanging the structure off it, off the top of it. So obviously you're not physically doing that. It's not what's actually happening in the movement. But I want you to get this idea that actually the body has a sense that it's draining down from the jaw. What you don't want to do, if you actually imagine being on a chin-up bar, you wouldn't hang the body off the chin-up bar somewhere here. This would be really, really hard to hold. Literally really strong in the arms. And also you wouldn't kind of want to crunch the body up like this kind of position. So just imagine you've got a little bit of space in the arms here between the body. And just imagine here, especially now in the tailbone, and if you can get that feeling from the tailbone to go into the heels in the ground, but just feel from here the sense of the body's kind of drained down through it. As soon as I go into these kind of patterns, I'm asking the body to load the jaw in a kind of position. It's not really going to be able to hold function. So it really allows you to find this kind of position. And then from here, the third position is really easy. Boom. because you basically got the Jo in the center line. You can just bring the waist and the hips into the movement. So this analogy is kind of useful, but it's not exactly true, but they never are. So if it helps, it helps. So you can also imagine the opposite way. So again, this position is kind of a tricky position because if I'm already thinking about the thrust before I've done it, if I already think about the strike before I've done it, I'm loading the body into the thrust, into the strike, sorry. So I'm preloading the body already into the strike before I've done the strike. So feel with this again, this comes back to Kihon training. Make the transition really clear so that there's a function in this movement, and don't muddy it with the function of the next movement. So that's kind of obvious, but you don't want to kind of be in these kind of positions where I'm already starting to think about that. Don't think about it. So think about, this is kind of end game. You don't want to end game when you do this. So think about getting to the position and just fulfill the demands of that position. That. Now from here, if I really fulfill the position there, that movement's easy. But really think about really going from like position to position. Align the body perfectly in those to the functions of that position, then that position, then that position. So really find those kind of, you want to find the real sweet spot in all of those positions, but don't think too much about the next step. And you're trying to create like a really clear crystal movement. And the more you get this clear, the easier this is to pass into kinagari. There we go. Nice. Right, there we go. Nice. Nice. Good. Great. So we'll take it to 4, 5, 6. Just go from this position. So you're just working from here. So this is a really key, and again, the transition is really important, how you organize the body to get to this position here. So we'll just work on this. You go from, we'll do the whole set, but you go 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and then coming back into Kenkamai, you go 4, draw the body back, 5, 6. Just work on that kind of the last set of it. 4, 5, 6. The easiest visualization I've got for this movement is think about someone in front of you trying to grab the end of the Jo really fast. So the Jo's out here. Think about they're going to really try and grab the Jo. So I've got to get that part of the Jo in motion straight away. So this is a withdrawal movement. So don't just watch in this case. I do like it takes a long time to get there, and there's a lot of kind of process to it. Don't see this as like a process. See this as like instant. Bam. But it's not that I'm going through like a like I just I adjust the back hip, and then I drag the arm across, and then I adjust the back hip. This is too much like process. Think about like instant. So it's from here to back. So the jaw just goes straight back with the hip. The easiest way to play with this is just keep the front foot in the ground and just focus on left hand, left hip, left foot, shooting back. Left hand, left hip, left foot, shoot back. So again, it goes to this kind of side connections in the body. But that, no, it's kind of robotic. Be a bit more, again, like instant, kind of straight to the position. Yeah, exactly. It goes again to my intent. What's my intent with that movement is to withdraw the jaw away so that it's not graspable. Withdraw, and then I can choose it forward. The big one now is looking for the connection. So what happens is like this. I get this position, and then I look for the connection, and then I do it. So there's like a loading up of the and then a movement to it. Find first. This is true with the technique as well. If you think about like Taina Hinko, so the person's grabbed me, and then if just the moment before I try and do the movement, I look for the connection. This is a disaster for it. So first, find the connection. So you find the ground, find the extension, and then just move with it. So it's the same here, but don't be already in the position. So I'm in the position, well, it goes, but don't be here and then now look for it and then do it. So look for the point where you can just find the position. In terms of the kata, you're going to be loaded in the curve. So you're here, find the position now, where I can just move. But you're looking for that instantaneous movement, not like a load, then go. So don't look for connection, just kind of connect and then move. This is kind of, again, this is really the kind of key home practice when you're going to these positions. That's it. Yeah. Got it. Great, and then just going to the strike itself with the gedan. This one, again, this is really spiral hip work as you do it. So what you don't want to do in this case is like the arms lead the movement. So like go, and then the body kind of follows with it. Although the Joe's going first, drive it from the back of the body. So you've got the connection already in the ground here from drawing back. You've loaded this position. So again, you're like a kind of coiled spring in this position. Press the weight in, but let the center drag the Joe through. So the center's dragging the Joe, and then it comes through this way. But really allow this movement to come in out of the center. So the big thing when we're looking at like core pure work is think about center to periphery, center to periphery. As long as the periphery is governing the center, I'm out of balance. So as long as this is leading, I'm going to pull out. Now, it doesn't actually matter. The body's behind the Joe. The Joe's going first, but the body's driving behind it, into it. And then the back is this, whatever. Just play a little bit here with this sense of coiling in, leading it out from the center. Think that you're going from like this position to this position, but it's opening from the core of the body. Rather than like, try and make the fingers do it, then go. No, go like center of the body first. Yeah, there we go, there we go, there we go. That's it, great. Yeah, the other point with this one, just watch this, don't do too big a movement with it. So if the step's too big, like this gets like this, the body just gets automatically taken out. The step's too big, it's not really practical either. If you think about where the strike's made to someone's knee, they're around about in this, they're around about here in the pattern of the movement, but they're not like over here. And I need to throw the body out. If they're that far away, I don't do this movement. So in that case, you would do something, come in this way. But you would do another movement. I'd use the length of Joe in that way, but this case, in the Gedangashi, you're tight into the body. So if you think about all the times when you use this movement in the Kumitachi, in the Kumijo or the 31, you're in quite a tight space. So it's generally, this movement's used coming into a tight wedging pattern, but the person's not like a great big step away from it. The distance is much more here. So it's a kind of natural stepping movement where the attack makes sense. The step's too big, the body has no base to kind of make the pattern. Just should be just like a natural step in, not too big. Again, think more about like landing the weight of the body through the strike rather than like, I need to step in. Think about much more like, how do I land weight through the strike? Yeah, we go. Nice. There we go. Great. So we'll just put it all together. So focus now on the sense of this opening and closing movements again. So you've got really two big opening movements. Opening, closing in, opening the body, closing the body in, coming back to a neutral position. So just playing with the 6 count. Again, trying to really integrate all this work together. There, into that. Just really give yourself space in the movement, let it breathe. Great. And again, when you do this, obviously we're doing weapon work. So there's like specific things you're looking for in terms of fulfilling the function. So you're looking to strike through, you're looking to strike through at the end of the job. But again, think about how it relates to the body work that we do, or especially the taijutsu work that we do. Think now really about kind of, the Jo's great for training like kokyu spirals. So obviously you're not doing the same work with the hands, but the body work's the same. So again, it's not identical because you're doing weapon work, it's got specific slight differences, but think about now as you go into this think about these kind of shapes that you're making with the body and how we relate these later to the kind of taijutsu aspect. And again, especially with the koki now, think about especially these movements where you're going to like a real closed position. Think about the width in the back. So the back of the body is really open and driving these movements. Open and driving these movements. Without the back, all this kind of koki work's useless. So in these kind of positions, this is all kind of compromise work. So think about filling the back, especially as you go into these kind of closing movements. Think about the kokyu work, really kind of being able to express itself from the back. So use the jo, but think about the empty-handed aspect that we're kind of looking to influence from the weapons. But because it's a relationship, they work both ways. So you can inject bodywork aspects into the weapon work the same way we do weapons into bodywork. Okay, great. So keep all this in mind. We're going to go to the 13, which is obviously slightly more complex kata, involves slightly more kind of, again, technical aspects. We'll just go again, just the first 4 movements with this. So you're starting now in in jokamai, sorry. You go wedge off the line, left side, find the shape, and then you go now straight into the hayageshi, straight, now into a block, and then finally thrust. Just those first 4 movements. So same body mechanics, slightly different application now. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Try. Okay, good. Right. Okay, so apart from this being a really like beautiful kata to perform, it's got for us also kind of these kind of functional aspects. So the main one in this case is really where the jo work is slightly different from the bokken work, and then you've got a lot of wedging patterns and entry patterns. So a lot of the time you're looking to wedge off the line and create a new kind of arrangement with it, which is something we do in the bokken but not so explicit. So what I want you to think about now, this kata obviously later when you're just with a partner, you've got a thrust coming straight down to the body all the time. So all of these movements correspond to how to wedge off the line and enter into a space where it's safe and you don't get struck. So think about in this case that you've got something coming towards the body, you're wedging off the line and finding the thrust. The same thing here, you've got something wedging towards the body. I need to get it off the line and make a response to it. This one, the same, you've got something wedging straight into the body. I need to wedge the body between me and the thing. And then from here, wedge, don't get caught in your pocket. And then come in through with the thrust here. So just think about just in these 4 movements, how it relates to the partner work later, which is about basically wedging off the line and aligning the body to a new center line. But the key thing, the first thing is how to wedge off the line. So I'm really looking for the whole body to leave that line of attack and then create a new one. Leave the line of attack, create a new one. This way. So just kind of consider what the function of the movements are as you do the kata. Okay, great. We'll just go into the next set. So this time you're going to start already in the ski kamai, in the ski thrust. So now you're going to go into the hasso position. So what you've got to do this, you'll rotate into the backside. To facilitate that, you're going to slightly open out the foot as you do it. So you open out the foot. Now, again, think about you've got a strike coming to the back of the spine. So you want to rotate into it. The foot's coming here, and then I'm pressing weight through the jaw, and then coming up into the hasso this way. So just work just the first few, just play with this first hasso move. So really specific footwork pattern. You're opening, stepping through, finding that hasso into this position. Let's give that a try. And you want the hasso to function as a block as you come out, as you turn to face your partner, and as you meet the ski. That's it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, okay, good. Again, really specific with this one. You can do this way, but watch the feet when you do this one. You want to open that foot up, and this facilitates the hip being able to do this movement. This. So it's not really like an Eremi Tenkan where you do like this movement and then press back. It doesn't really have that flow. It's got a different kind of quality to it. So you're looking to basically open this, wedge the hip in, and then come into this movement this way. So try and just play with this. Be careful of the knees, obviously, but play with the idea of being able to really open the hip. Pivot from the center line of the body, and then into this way. So again, you're looking for a pathway into the ground as you do it, but it's not like in a kind of evasion, like an Eremi Tenkan kind of way. You're actually going into the problem in a way. That's it. That's it. Very nice. Good. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, we'll take it a little bit further into the kata. So starting from the beginning, go up from 1, here with a steep, 2, 3, 4. Now integrating the hasso into this movement. 5, strike, 6. You're going to roll to the back, block. Yeah, and come back to this position. We're just going to finish in this position. It's kind of common position. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's there. Roland, you have a question? No. My connection's gone. Okay. No. Right. Okay, good. So pretty much up to this point, what you're looking to do is wedge the line and find a response. So the hasso conforms this as well. The hasso coming in, and then you wedge off the line, find the response. Here's the same thing as you rotate, you're wedging and then finding a response. Now, at this point, the kata is where you're doing something slightly different. You're wedging in through the center line. So this is a little bit more like we do with the bokomo all the time. What you've got now in a case from this position is you're going to roll up. The thrust is coming to the chest here, and I'm not going to go off the line. I'm going to go up, down it, straight down, and then this responds to straight down into the person. So just play with this now. It's got a slightly different flavor. Don't go off the line. So it's not a blocking movement. It's a wedging movement through, and then a strike through this way. So just play with that. Just that one move. It's got a really different kind of flavor in the kata. So you roll. Again, the Joe's going to go first because I don't have time to kind of roll the body in and then block the strike. This won't really work. So the Joe's got to fall in first and then thrust it this way. Right. So this is like directly down the line, but wedging the body in a spiral so that you can kind of press the other person out of the line. This is a classic teaching of like two things can't occupy the same space at the same time. So you occupy the space before them. That's it, yeah.
Michael, can you show it please once more?
Sure. So you've got this position, this. So if you do this like in their basic, I'm not really doing it, it's somewhere between the basic and the Nagari movements. So this way you've got the hip, this, the ground, and then this rolls in. This rolls in, and then the body's coming behind it. See that? Whoop, that. And then the thrust's coming behind that. So later on, this becomes like one movement. You've got the wedge in, the thrust goes straight in. In terms of the basic, you're looking to place the feet, place the thrust, something like that. Okay? Good. Very nice, very nice. Great, just incorporate the last two movements now, so 12, 13. So you've got here, here. Now from here you roll back. The key thing here is, again, this has a function. So you've got a skeet coming towards the body, so it needs to function as a spiral block, which serves two functions. It serves to take them off the line and put me on it to facilitate the next thrust. So really feel now as you do this, it's not just a kind of I come back to position, it's a wedging movement with a weight behind it. So whoa, you want the weight of the body to hit the jaw. Yeah. And you want to do it in a spiral way. So watch this. You can do this like this, which is powerful, but doesn't put me back on the line. So what you want to do is wedge the person off the line. Wedge the person off the line and put me on it this way, which you can only really do with a spiral. So straight line force is powerful, but it will take me off the line. So really feel that you wedge it, circle it. So again, it goes back to copy work. So eventually everything we're doing is coming from a kind of place with a spiral. That's. Yes, yeah, right. Yes. Super, great. So go to the whole thing now. Obviously, you can do this Kihon in a kind of static way, and if you want to go to that level, but if you know the kata kind of reasonably well, I think you all do anyway. So try and go to a stage. It's not quite kinonagari, but I want you to think about the compressions in the feet. And give the kata kind of life. So you've obviously got like gang. There's a chance this comes very robotic. If I train here for a long time. If you train the right way, this is great, but what you want to do now is add a little bit more of a sense that it's got a little bit of breath to it and life to it. So it's not a kind of dead thing in a picture book. It's got a kind of quality of flexibility to it. So put a little bit of life into it, basically. And that's going to come from the feet. So the feet need to be kind of lively in this kind of training. You don't want to be kind of stodgy. You want to be, again, it's a bit like a cat. Imagine a cat, really that sense of the weight shifting through the feet in a really lively way. But with the ground, that's the key thing. Right. Okay, good. I just want you to think, so I'm kind of splitting this with you when you do it, but when you do this, think about the two spaces that tend to get left behind in this. So, because I tend to focus on the ground, and obviously everything's loaded in the front, it tends to go into this kind of movement. So everything becomes increasingly small during the kata, and increasingly loaded to the front. So think about the two directions that you're missing in this, which is the back and the vertical. So again, if you go to those pictures of O-sensei with this sense of extension through the whole spine, as soon as I lose that sense of extension, the whole kata starts to crumble into the front. So really think about the ground's important, the front's important, but balance it out with a sense of the back of the body and the top, what's above the head. So really think about now as you do this, lengthening, and importantly for us, pressing the movement from the back, press from the back, press from the back, press from the back. No? So just think about this as you do it. So just notice what's happening in the kata. The demands of the kata are to pull you to the front and crunch you down. But again, if you think about those closing movements, you need to have a sense of back and length through the spine. And then you can kind of bring the body into a bit more balance. And then moving in alignment is basically what you'll kind of, will just happen. Will just kind of fall into place. But I need to kind of consciously bring those areas of the body which are kind of dead spaces into life. So that's it. That's it. Perfect. Very good. Much better. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, the last thing we're going to do, obviously, this kata later has a formal owase practice where you've got 3 attackers. So one in the front, 2 to the side. So you're using the kata in a way to deal with multiple partners. So that's one of the practices we already have in the system. So it's a useful practice. I want you to use that as a kind of idea, just as a jumping off point. And I just want to focus on now, as if each of the movements, each of the strikes is an end to a movement. So although this is a chain of movements, it's not like the 31 Kumijo where it's like a linked chain. So what you've got to think about this is like individual encounters, one done. And then I want you to think about another angle. So if someone's attacking from another angle rather than like straight ahead again, come to another angle, boom, finish. There's another person in the room, there's another angle, change it, finish it. So there's another person, find a different angle, finish it. Back. Find a different angle, finish it. Find a different angle, finish it. Find a different angle, finish it. But don't be too prescriptive about it. Just imagine the different varieties of movement. This is about being flexible in terms of the kata. Again, just putting a little bit more life into it. But imagine each of those strikes is basically finishing an encounter. One. So it has a sense of finality to it. And then you should be in a position where you feel flexible enough, you can totally change, go to a new angle. And obviously the kata itself is doing this anyway. You're just slightly emphasizing it. Right. So. H.
So if you imagine you have a bladed weapon, it breaks down at number 5.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I'll show you the form you can do with this. You go, right, goes like this. So you will go to the has. You got the hasso, right? As you turn in, right, the blade's pointing down. The blade's down, right? Yeah. So the blade's kind of here. Go to this suburi. Bam! Go to this one. So you're in this position. Open this out. Goes to that. Right, and then from here, roll it back, and then come into the strike. This way, and then the kata continues. So you just slightly lengthen the kata. You add an extra move to it. So you get the hasso, the blades in the end. Thrust with it, roll it back, strike it with the other side this way. If you've got a spear. Right. Right. Or you can think halfway through the kata, I become a pacifist and use the blunt end of the weapon. Still killing the person though, I think you hit them. I don't think this was it. great. Okay, perfect. We'll give a break there. So yeah, the other point with this is also the kata itself is like an they clearly like they came from movements So Sensei was doing. So Saito says this himself, although he kind of formalized these katas, they were like part of the practices So Sensei was doing. He kind of forgot most of them, just kind of remembered some of them, and this is one of the ones he kind of remembered from O Sensei's work. And you can see, like, if you watch the videos of O Sensei, obviously he never did them kihon like we do, and in terms of number, he didn't do them like this. He did them off from the heart kind of thing, and in full flow, full movement. But he did repeat these forms a lot, so that's really clear. Especially if you look at the 31 Jo kata, it wasn't just Saito that got this kind of form. Like Tohei got it, and Hikazuchi Sensei got it. Different slight variations of it, but the same kind of there's the same kind of pulse in the movement and the same kind of heart in the system for it. But it's clear Sensei was using these as solo practices. And obviously, Saito Sensei then has gone on to kind of formulate partner practice for them. But the other thing is also like, Sensei was using them in a practice which is also spiritual. So he was using them as like dances, but with a religious aspect. But the key thing is like, he took these and they still have this martial quality to them. So you can see with them really clear power generation, especially in the last years of his life. There's one video in Hawaii where he's doing a demonstration with a Jo. I'll try and find it during the break. But he's got a real sense of power generation through every strike. So every strike's wham, got the body behind it, wham, but also got that fluidity to it as well. So he was clearly using them in a way which was about power generation, not just kind of stick twirling. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So again, aligning to his intention, which was something like this. Okay, anyway, let's take a break and we will start again on the hours sometime. Okay. Okay, right. Domo arigato.
Domo arigato.
I got it.
Great. Very good.